just joining us, this program is airing today on Facebook and LinkedIn, brought to you by the Delatour Law Firm One-on-One Show. The One-on-One Show is sponsored by the Delatour Law Firm, also by our friends at the Lake Nona Leads Group at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando. This information, I think, is going to be very critical for our friends in the chamber and for all the small businesses out there that are watching the show. Thank you, Congressman, for helping us out today. Our phone number is 407-733-0640. The Delatour Law Firm is a criminal, immigration, and family law firm. And I'm going to segue on that note to immigration. Congressman, last year, Congress passed a law, it was signed into law, that raised the minimum requirements to meet the EB-5 program, which drives a lot of foreign investment into the country. I know that you know what it is, but I'm basically kind of capping up, or, boxing in what that is for our audience. So the EB-5 program drives foreign dollars into the U.S. economy, which I think are going to be very important now to stimulate the economy after this downturn due to COVID-19 and the coronavirus. Last year, they raised minimum requirements from one version of that through regional centers from $500,000 to $900,000, and the second version from $1 million to $1.8 million. So, Congressman, is there any talk in Washington right now about revisiting the program, maybe reducing those numbers in order to stimulate the economy?
The answer is yes. The House Democrats fought to try to get a decrease down from $900,000 to $450,000 as the initial investment, and to increase the number of individuals who could qualify from 10,000 to 75,000. The Senate Republicans rejected that offer, but it's something we'll continue to fight for as we go into this extension package, and will likely be what we'll refer to as a CARES 2 package, which will deal with more long-term recovery once we're at that juncture. We are unfortunately not there yet. Now we're talking about just extensions, as Florida in particular faces a peak date of May 3rd, and we may not be able to start reopening businesses in a meaningful way until late May, early June at the earliest. Obviously, we're going to need enough testing for it. So again, I suspect we'll see another fight for that. Definitely, I urge you all to contact your U.S. Senators Rubio and Scott, because the Senate has been the ones, they've been the ones who've been opposing this. And the reason why this is so critical, it allows for more investment at a critical time in the United States. And the Trump administration, we know they've had a long streak of anti-immigrant rhetoric. They were the ones who pushed for the reduction in this, which is kind of ironic since it's well established that Trump Towers in Miami had a lot of foreign investors who came in under this visa. So it's no surprise we're seeing more hypocritical stances by the president on this. But we're going to keep fighting for it, because I think now we're in the type of area where we can have bipartisan support, but it's not going to be without pressure from folks who believe in this program.
Congressman, sticking to the pertinent information, I'm trying to avoid the political discussions because that's not the point of our show right now. Plus, Facebook won't let us share it if we get too political. So in some factual issues, right now, I know that switching over to USCIS and processing times, USCIS has sent us receipt notices. I understand they're still processing applications. Obviously, interviews are being delayed because of social distancing. People cannot go into a center. What are you hearing from your USCIS liaison in Orlando or Washington as to processing times and what we can expect in the next few months for our applicants that are applying for different types of immigration relief right now?
Well, this will really track the stay-at-home orders. Right now, as you know, the borders are really down to a trickle as far as the number of people who are allowed to come into the country. This is true for most countries across the world right now. And so we in the Congressional Hispanic Caucus have requested that we have funds in the long-term package to really get at that backlog. This is a key issue for many members, including myself. And so we're going to continue to push for that. And in the meantime, we're focused on health and protections for those immigrants who are under the care of immigration services right now.
That was going to be my next question, Congressman. When it comes to detainees right now, I got a phone call yesterday from somebody who was in custody at Hillsborough County Jail and is waiting to be transferred to an ICE detention facility, one of 4 or 5 in the state of Florida. My question, Congressman, is if the person's not a seriously violent offender, or in this case it was DUI, what is the position right now of the federal government, particularly the Trump administration, as to continuing to detain these individuals when it could potentially lead to an outbreak of COVID? I mean, I just saw a news story on Telemundo today that there was a flight booked for Guatemala, and the flight had numerous amounts of individuals that were actually sick right now with COVID-19 being placed on a flight with other individuals. So what is the government doing to prevent an outbreak in detention centers?
So first of all, a lot of our immigrants who are in immigration custody under USCIS is in limbo. You know, you have this tension between the America First policies where they're doing zero tolerance, and so a lot of people aren't being let out, but they're also not, their cases aren't moving, and they're not being deported back to their home countries in many instances. So right now it's just at a standstill, and we've gotten nearly radio silence on these issues. We're also getting that same type of non-responsiveness from a lot of the federal prisons. That came up on the House Democratic Caucus call yesterday.
So there's been no shift in terms of policy out of the White House to help individuals be released from custody?
We haven't seen anything as of today, not that we haven't requested it, but there's, again, this intertension between them having their zero tolerance policy, which they haven't lifted, of having no tolerance for anybody here who isn't authorized under law, while still being very limited in who can be deported right now because the borders are mostly shut down. So a lot of folks we're hearing from are stuck in limbo, and we're obviously advocating for those who their cases are of a political nature on an individual basis should there be a connection to the district. But for most of you, you'll be working with attorneys, as is normally the case in the vast majority of immigration cases, to try to get individual relief for that person. But there's no doubt these folks are mostly in limbo, and those in the custody of ICE as well as our federal prisons right now are in danger. And
state courts have taken a tremendous effort that may potentially revolutionize the practice of law. Just this week, I was able to attend a lengthy hearing, a 5-hour hearing in Orange County Court on a family circuit matter that lasted 5 hours via Zoom, just like we're doing right now. And many hearings are occurring just the way we're interviewing ourselves right now via Zoom. My question is, Congressman, what's going on, because immigration courts are shut down, right? So I haven't had to deal with a bond issue directly. I know that bond issues are still being addressed as due process is definitely an issue that needs to still be addressed in the courts. With people that are in criminal custody, there's still bond hearings going on. What is your liaison telling you about bond hearings as they pertain to immigration custody?
So other than in the traditional civil circuit, federal courts, and the criminal circuit, where they've been doing telephonic hearings for years and are continuing to do those, there's been no concerted effort to convert a lot of these immigration hearings over to telephonic, and I think that's by design, because a lot of folks are stuck in limbo.
Well, that doesn't make any sense, Congressman, because you've pointed out that the administration wants to get these individuals out of the country. So slowing down their processing time through the courts is only going to create a further backlog, And I mean, the last time I was in court, they were already pushing out hearings to end of 2020 to the beginning of 2021. And at this juncture, I'm sure they're going to be pushed out to the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. So, you know, the more there's delays, the more that there's going to be issues. So there's no conversation whatsoever to bring in technology to allow hearings to move forward and help these immigration judges out.
So first of all, it does make sense because they're conflicted. The borders are virtually shut down, but they don't want to let people go because of their zero tolerance policy. I didn't say it was smart. I just said it was the reality of what's happening around.
And here I said that we weren't going to get political, but that piece got the best.
Well,
that was my immigration hard at play there, you know.
Started it. But I will tell you, we've had several comprehensive letters from the CHC dealing with health, safety, and welfare of the immigrant populations. This is an issue that our caucus leads on, and I'll continue to flag the fact that these cases are languishing. But the reason why that's by design is because they don't want to see any movement because the border's shut down, but they don't want to let people go because then that would be news stories about undocumented immigrants being set free by the Trump administration. So they're just stuck with their in a stasis right now. That's terrible for civil rights, which is why the CHC has taken up a lot of these issues. And right now, we're just putting out fires. So our main thing is to make sure we could stop COVID-19 transmissions among immigrants, that we could keep their health and welfare, and we'll continue to push for advancing the process. But I agree, it's inconsistent, but that's just the reality of what's happening.
Congressman, thank you so much for being on the show. If you were just joining us, the video will air on Facebook. It will air on LinkedIn. It'll be available by link on the other social media mechanisms. I want to thank the congressman who has joined us from Congressional District Number 9, Congressman Darren Soto. I am a constituent. I'm also a small business. Everything you've relayed has not only been helpful to me personally, but to everyone who's following us on Facebook at the Delaware Law Firm. Thank you so much for your time. Again, at Delaware Law, if you'd like to reach us, our phone number is 407-733-0640. Congressman, if there's a phone number or a means to reach out to your office if people need help with something in particular, what would be the best place to contact you?
So you could contact my Kissimmee office at 407-452-1171. Again, that's 407-452-1171. I did want to address one last thing briefly that's really important for most Floridians. We do have a new federal unemployment benefit too. It's $600 per week for up to 4 months. That's on top of the state benefit of $275 per week for up to 12 weeks. And it's a much more expansive eligibility than the state benefits. You could be a former employee, you could be an employee who lost hours, or you could be an independent contractor. Folks who receive 1099 forms for the IRS, including any type of work where you can imagine the gig economy. Of course, the state benefits are much more narrow and obviously lower benefits. You have to be a former employee to qualify for those. So I did want to mention those. You can apply for both of them under the state website, which has been a disaster so far, but we just gave them an additional $29 million to help get their act together from the U.S. Department of Labor. They have 72 new servers and paper applications. So those are state cases because it's a state website. So for any of you who do have issues, you're going to want to talk to your state representative or state senator. But for the stimulus checks and for the the payroll protection program and others, our office is ready, willing, and able to help you as best we can. And thanks, Counselor, for having me on the show. As always, appreciate our longtime friendship and your great advice.
Thank you, Congressman. This has been the one-on-one show brought to you by the Delaware Law Firm. We hope and pray that everyone out there is okay. Thank you to all our frontline workers. Special thanks to all the doctors and nurses, everyone who's out there doing their part. And we just hope that everybody stays safe out there. As you can see, we're doing our interview remote. So it is possible to do these things remotely. Stay home, be safe. Thank you, everybody. And next time.